Tennessee makes quick work of Alabama State 10-0 to kick off the Knoxville Regional Game 1 here on a Friday night. I'm Eric Kane, Ben McKee at Lindsey Nelson Stadium here on Around the Horn, Volquest.com. Plenty of offense came on late. Tennessee got put up a 5 spot in the 6th inning, sparked by Charlie Taylor. But first, before we get into the game action, Tony Vitello, some comments, Ben, afterwards on Evan Russell.
Yes, the NCAA tournament starts tonight and doesn't even feel like it, partly because of who Tennessee was playing, but also because Tennessee was without its starting catcher. You and I have spoke to the importance of Evan Russell all season long, and he was not in attendance for today's game, did not play, was not in the dugout. And according to Tony Vitello, he was sick, and he received a text message this morning from Evan stating that he was sick, and that's why he was not playing today, according to Tony. And he is unclear as to whether or not he will be available tomorrow. He didn't seem so sure that he would be available tomorrow. So it seemed to me like he was trying to say that he wasn't going to be available without saying it. I would be surprised if Evan is available tomorrow. Doesn't seem like he's going to be available this weekend. Tony left it at him being sick. We'll see if that ends up being the case. I'm sure there's a little bit more to the story, but it does seem to be like a personal matter for Evan Russell, and that's not my place, and that's not your place to dive into and try to find out those secrets. So we're going to let that be and let the storyline play out as it is. I know people want a lot of answers, but there's just not a whole lot to give, and I do think we as media members have a responsibility to make sure that we don't speak out of school, and I'm not going to do that, quite frankly. So Evan Russell, sick, according to Tony, probably a little bit more than that, but I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, so lots of stuff on the line here tonight. We could do a whole podcast on the do's and don'ts of certain situations, but we'll let that be. What that does mean, though, Ben, is Charlie Taylor's given an opportunity, and he spoke post-game about the supports that Vol Nation showed him inside Lindsey Nelson Stadium tonight. You could hear the chants through the television speakers supporting him. Came up with a huge spark there in the 6th inning when Tennessee put a 5 spot on there with a squeeze, and looked like he pitched Blake Tidwell incredibly well behind the plates, and did a really good job to not making the most of his opportunity. It looks 0-for-3 with an RBI from the plate. That's not going to jump off the page or anything, but looks like Charlie Taylor did pretty well tonight in the absence of Evan Russell.
Yeah, I thought he played really well. And folks got to remember that Charlie Taylor, yes, you would like to see some production from the batter's box, but he's in there to handle the pitching staff. That's his job first and foremost, and he was terrific defensively behind the plate. He wasn't tested tonight, but he didn't lose Tennessee the game back there. Not that anybody really thought that he would. I don't think there's a steep drop-off from Evan to Charlie defensively. The only really drop-off, in my opinion, watching from the stands is just the camaraderie that Evan has built up, the rapport, I should say, that Evan has built up with the pitching staff this season. But even Blake Tidwell after the game tonight said that Charlie catches his bullpens throughout the week, so there's a sense of familiarity there, and I'm sure Charlie is far more familiar with the pitchers than we actually realize, just because we don't see him playing in a game. You got to remember he's caught midweek games, and even if it's primarily been Xander Seacrest, there's other guys that come in behind Xander, and he catches those guys, the Ben Joyce, Camden Sewell, so on and so forth, and they catch bullpens throughout the week as well. So I thought Charlie did well, and even after play, he had the beautiful squeeze bunt that scored a run. You had a ball that he hit the left center that looked like it was going to be a 2-run home run. He hit the ball really well. It just didn't end up in his favor in that at bat. So I thought he was really, really good tonight. And if Tennessee continues to get that production, then they're not going to miss Evan a ton because, again, his primary focus is what he does behind the plate with his glove and not necessarily his bat. Anything you get with his bat, it's going to be a plus.
Tennessee did put a 5 spot up there in the 6th inning. It was started by that squeeze from Charlie Taylor, but a run in the 2nd, a run in the 4th, a run in the 5th, 5 in the 6th, a run in the 7th, 8th. And at the end of the day, Ben, it was 10 runs off 15 hits for the University of Tennessee in the 10-0 defeat of Alabama State. 2 home runs from Jordan Beck, 2 for 4 day, and a home run from Drew Gilbert, a home run from Jarrell Ortega, a home run from Blake Burke, which was just a piss missile, as we call it. But Tennessee's bats, they came around and they produced in a big way here on a Friday night.
Yeah, I thought Breon Pooler was pretty good there for Alabama State over those first 5 innings, and I think he has a career in baseball even after Alabama State. Maybe doesn't blow you away with his stuff on the mound, but really efficient, pounds the zones with strikes, and he did that tonight. And Tennessee wasn't able to take advantage of some early opportunities. Jordan Beck and Drew Gilbert, first, second inning or so, each had an opportunity to drive in a run and didn't do so. But as the game progressed, as you got into the Alabama State bullpen, the bats opened up and did so quite often. And it was just a power display. Jarrell Ortega was really good all night. Blake Burke hit a mammoth home run. As you mentioned, a line drive over the scoreboard, which is pretty remarkable. Jordan Beck hit 2 home runs. So just a really good offensive night for Tennessee. You would have liked to have gotten going earlier in the game, but still a really nice offensive performance. And again, I maintain, I know it's Alabama State, but it's the NCAA tournament. Everybody's here for a reason. They won their conference for a reason, and it'll be a more formidable opponent tomorrow night, but still a really good job by the offense. Maybe would have liked to get going a little bit earlier. But again, you're going to face good pitching, especially at the beginning of the weekend with these teams when they're throwing their best guys. Then as the weekend progresses, the odds will definitely shift in Tennessee's favor. Campbell has already thrown their best arm. He's not going to be available the rest of the weekend. Tennessee's throwing out Chase Dollander, the best pitcher, in my opinion, in the country. So it'll be a fascinating matchup tomorrow night.
Yeah, it'll be an elimination game tomorrow afternoon, Alabama State and Georgia Tech. And as you mentioned, Tennessee will advance on to take on Campbell, 7 o'clock tomorrow night. But Ben, the best for last, man, Blade Tidwell, the best Blade Tidwell we have seen so far this year. A season high 7 innings and 2/3, scoreless baseball, no runs, 3 hits, 7 strikeouts, no walks, 93 pitches, 64 of which were in the strike zone. Blade Tidwell, this was a fantastic showing for him and for the University of Tennessee.
Yeah, the 63 strikes and the no walks tell the story. That was Blade Tidwell at his absolute best. And the Alabama State coach said after the game, if he's not a first rounder, then I don't know what a first rounder looks like. And I completely agree with that. What you saw tonight, even against Alabama State, that is why Blade is considered a first round pick. He has 3 legitimate pitches that he can get outs with. And you certainly saw that tonight. And he was terrific. And when he has command of his stuff, good luck hitting him. Alabama State certainly had to deal with that tonight. And not only did the Alabama State coach talk about him needing to be a first rounder, he also said that he watches a lot of professional baseball, and Blade was better today than some of the big leaguers that he watches up in the big league. So quite the praise there from Alabama State's head coach. He was tremendous. And again, Blade Tidwell, Blade hasn't been bad this year. Don't get me wrong. He's just been trying to get back away from that injury, get built up, knock the rest off. And it seems like he definitely has. There's been some examples in the past, and his last 3 outings that have really been good leading up to this point. Mississippi State, Vanderbilt in the SEC tournament, and then today he's looked really good the last couple of weeks. And you pair that with the way Chase Dollander's pitching, and that's one of the many reasons Tennessee is the favorite to win the national championship this year.
Well, Blade Tidwell told the story here on a Friday night. And of course, Tennessee's bats got going, especially in the 6th inning. Again, a 5 spot in that 6th inning. 15 hits, 10 runs, 10-0 the win. The top seed Tennessee takes down the 4th seed in the Knoxville Regional. Alabama State 10-0 will advance on to take on Campbell on Saturday night at 7 o'clock. We're going to have a post-game pod coming up here in just a little bit. You're going to have tons of stuff at Volquest.com, your 4 quick hits, and a couple other stuff there, Ben. But this has been Around the Horn for a Tennessee successful Friday night, 10-0 over Alabama State. For Ben McKee, I'm Eric Kane here at Volquest.com.